I may not be a fall baby, but I love this time of year. Autumn in New York is crisp air, cozy sweaters, and warm flavors just make everything feel comforting. I mentioned I'm getting married. Super busy, everybody is in town, and I want to look my best. Healthy eating is the primary focus, and with Green Chef, the #1 meal kit for clean eating, you can do just that. Green Chef makes it easy to spend less time in the kitchen and more time enjoying fall. And with their new Heat and Eat meals, enjoy a delicious, wholesome meal in just 3 minutes. Perfect for supporting your wellness journey, Green Chef recipes feature fresh, organic, seasonal produce and 100% responsibly sourced proteins to help you feel your best. Green Chef's real clean ingredients help you build lasting, healthy habits without the hassle. Enjoy salads ready in just 5 minutes, protein-filled breakfasts, or nutrient-rich smoothies to fuel your day. Green Chef is ready to nurture your nutritional needs. I use this and you should too. I mentioned I'm getting married. Oh my goodness, it is the week of the wedding. Oh my goodness, I mentioned I'm getting married. It's the week of the wedding. Diego and I have been cooking up a storm, but we don't have a lot of time, so we just tried their baked lemon pepper tilapia with feta. It was the perfect nutritional meal to keep us energized. I loved the feta cheese to give it a little bit of extra oomph. It's so delicious. You'll love it as much as we did. Make this fall your healthiest yet with Green Chef. Head to greenchef.com/50tags and use code 50tags to get 50% off your first month, then 20% off for 2 months with free shipping. That's code 50tags at greenchef.com/50tags.
This episode brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Shifting a little money here, a little there, and hoping it all works out? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can get a better budgeter and potentially lower your insurance bill too. You tell Progressive what you want to pay for car insurance, and they'll help find you options within your budget. Try it today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
Mientras los quienes de Villaquién reían y comían, el Grinch desde su guarida su plan definía. Pensó, ¿cómo arruinar sus cenas festivas? Y le vino una idea, de las más retorcidas. Salpicaré sus papitas de verde, con sazón de pepinillo, y con esos feos calcetines verán mi retorcido motivo. Así que si quieres probar lo que el Grinch preparó, ve a McDonald's y verás lo que tramó. El nuevo Grinch Meal, ya, en McDonald's. En McDonald's participantes hasta agotar existencias.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
What is going on? You are listening to Tags Podcast, aka Talk About Gay Sex Podcast. This is episode 717. I am your host, Stevie V, alongside in studio, looking at Lincoln. How you doing?
All of us, we're all here together. It's like Thanksgiving all over again.
It is.
Almost.
Oh my gosh. And joining me, also looking across from him, is the lovely and talented Cody Maurice Doggett. How the hell you doing?
Hello, darling. I'm doing wonderful. It's lovely to see your faces again in person.
I know, it's been a minute.
It is. I trust everyone had a great holiday. It is Cyber Monday. I know you were with us, Lincoln, for the holiday here, and so much.
Really fun.
Yeah, we had a really great time. We're talking about today because it is December 1st. It is World AIDS Day, and that is dominating our conversation today. We're going to get into why we want to talk about it, but in short, we're going to be talking about memory, sex, survival, connection. It's a whole conversation on World AIDS Day. And before we get into it, not the reason I wanted to do it, it's just we wanted to talk about it, but this is the first administration here in America that isn't observing World AIDS Day. And if you think about the last administration, Biden, he brought back the AIDS quilts, which was really memorable from back in the day. And to hear that this particular year, and by the way, just to give you, when did World AIDS Day begin? 1988 was the year. 1988 was the year when World AIDS Day was recognized, and every organization, business, government around the globe have recognized as both Republican and Democratic presidents have held World AIDS Day events or issued proclamations on it, including George W. Bush, Barack Obama, Trump in his first term, although he did not mention LGBTQ plus people at all that particular year. And last year, like I mentioned, Biden hosted the first White House display of panels from the AIDS Memorial Quilt, which I remember that, and that's really cool. Well, this year, the State Department has directed employees and grant recipients not to use any federal government funds to observe the day. This is according to the New York Times. I mean, I grew up in the 80s where AIDS was happening, and it was, it was the first images or warnings you heard about AIDS growing up. I'll start with myself. I was a gymnast. I was on the gymnastic team. We used to go in high school to various colleges to see some of the greatest athletes performing. And I'll never forget sitting with my fellow high school students and our parents. And there was this one guy, we'll just name him Randy, and he was on the Berkeley team. And basically, my high school buddies said, "Oh yeah, he has AIDS, he has HIV," and stigmatized him. And his parents looked like aghast, like, "Oh my God."
Really?
My parents, I'll never forget the look that my parents gave. They gave a blank look that wasn't important to them. They were talking amongst themselves about how awful that this guy was known to have HIV and was still on the team. My parents didn't react. But all of those things stuck with me. I knew I was gay. I knew there was this lingering AIDS out there. But to see my parents not really react and not give it any voice meant something to me. But knowing that I was gay, knowing that that was looming on what I particularly could get, knowing that I was also going to be a gymnast on the Berkeley team soon, all of that.
In 1988, I was just graduating high school. This was like my first year of junior college. And I know it was always out in the city. I was in a suburb. I can't really remember the first time a person or something like that came into my world. But I do remember there was an election in the Bay Area, and my family was Republican, which they were a very different Republican than what Republican is today. It was much more equal to Democrat. It was closer. And I remember the whole family voted for things to take care of people with AIDS. And there was kind of a nod to me, even though I wasn't old enough to vote. I could feel people were doing that because of me and the family.
Wow.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's one of my earliest memories of an effect of it. And not in a judgy way, but maybe it was. I don't know. My memory's really not great.
Early memories are everything. And one of my dearest friends, he's been on the show years ago. I'd love him to come back. Larry Hashbarger, he produced one of the biggest AIDS benefits with Elizabeth Taylor called Macy's Passport.
Oh, yeah.
And director, producer of that show for years. I was a part of it. My sister was a part of it. But one of the earliest memories that he shared with me was because he moved to San Francisco in the 70s, late 70s, and experienced all the great things. But he tells a story, and it's in our earlier episodes, where the Walgreens on Castro Boulevard had one little poster that said the new AIDS cancer on there and what you should know about that. And it was this thing, and he remembers walking by that Walgreens. You know the Walgreens, and it's iconic. It's still there, and it freaked him out as to what could potentially be out there. And he had heard other newspaper stories about what was going on, but that in particular was crazy. And what was one of your first memories, Cody?
Well, definitely in the media, especially with like the people who were the celebrities and the athletes, because I thought you were going to address this, but like Greg Louganis and
Oh yeah, I remember that.
oh my God, I have no idea about sports ball, but Magic Johnson.
Yeah.
So
Magic
I was
Johnson
like,
was one
oh
of
my
the
God,
first. That was huge.
So that
And
is
still alive.
yeah. So those were my
was
two
Greg.
first.
Yeah, I think he got access to things. Thank you so much. I think he got access to early things. That
Both of them did.
Yeah.
yeah, I think both of them did.
Yeah. So I think that was my first.
But one was
introduction to
gay,
everything.
and yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
And one of them was Magic Johnson is super rich compared to Greg Louganis. too.
Magic, that was huge for AIDS HIV. That took
Yeah.
a pin out of the ism of it being all about gays.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah, and then so something that still sticks with me today, as far as when I came out, one of the first things that my mother said to me, she was like, "Just don't get," and I was like, it just blew my mind that would be the thing that she would jump to. That this would be her biggest worry for me, was that I would get HIV. So that really stuck with me as well. And then I started to work with in college, like right after I came out, with an AIDS youth thing where we taught everybody about condom use and things like that. And then I went on to be a part of like an allocation for funds for AIDS services and things of that nature.
wow.
So yeah, it was great. So those are my first instances of learning about everything and how it can be transmitted and things of that nature. So yeah.
It's so interesting that you talk about how your mother told you not to get that.
It still blows my
and
mind
that's
that she would say
so
that.
like a whole mindset.
But she was just worried about it. But
No,
yeah.
I mean, I think it's in some ways it's amazing that you were able to tell her and she was able to have that conversation with you. I feel like at that time I couldn't even tell my family at all that I was even gay, much less get to that point. And the idea that what if I died?
Yeah.
And what if I died and it came out that that was the thing, and then my family found out that. Mm-hmm. In some ways, I feel your mom at least, it was a curse, because in some ways she's like, don't get this, but she also knew of it ahead of time. I also feel like for some of us, we didn't even, weren't out to
There's
our
no
parents.
words for it, yeah.
And it was for all, but I think for all of us, and for those that we lost, there's, you know, today is a day of memory too, that I want to remember those that didn't have that voice. I mean, for those that are looking for something to reflect on, I think Pose does a really good job.
Yes.
The Normal Heart you can watch does a really good job. There's one that's based in Fire Island, I believe, that's a really good movie show. We can listen. Longtime Companion.
Yeah.
If you don't know what maybe the people that were immersed in that, it's never too late to kind of educate yourself on what that could have been like. But were you going to say something?
Yeah, I had a whole bunch of. I feel it was in. You just kind of said this in your story. It was a true setback for everyone. You know how the pandemic's kind of set us back in a lot of ways?
Yeah, like a reset, like somebody hit the restart button.
AIDS was truly a very focused and magnified setback for our community. You know what I mean? With all the people we lost and and on a day like this day, I think it's really great that we're just talking about it. You know what I mean? Almost with no agenda, that we're just talking about our experience here. Because, like, I remember, if I'm not wrong, didn't AIDS Day get kicked off by the RED campaign? Remember RED, R-E-D, with the parentheses?
From Mac?
That I don't remember.
And there was a Red Hot album that I think the Pet Shop Boys did in conjunction with the RED campaign, and Bono was a big part of it. I believe that's what kicked off World AIDS Day. So maybe something like that for our humanity these days. I wish we could pierce the logic again to get back. I remember there was a red iPhone and a red Razor. I don't know if it kicked off with it, but I remember when it was done. Yeah. It's also, just to be a little more lighthearted, it's the opening of the shop. I opened Protein Bakery on December 1st, 9 years ago.
wow.
It was our opening party,
That's
and I
wild.
dedicated the shop to Keith Haring and to everyone who had passed. So,
Well, if we
I love
could
it.
kind of shift a little bit of gears, because sex didn't stop, right? So we still grew up. We still
it stopped a lot, though.
It stopped a lot. You could do a deep dive into. I think we talked about it recently on the show. I think I was talking to you, Cody, about how the Castro Street Fair and those that were demonized back in the day were the leather community. Okay. And there was a lot of blame going on in San Francisco in particular, that they were the blame. And we could go a deep dive into all that. We've had guests on the show. But even when eroticism was demonized, sex still existed and men still found ways to connect. Even when fear was everywhere, the desire never went away. The body never stopped wanting. How did you, I'm just curious, Cody, how, with even your mom telling you, did you still find that desire? Condoms, of course, but
You know what? So I think I've spoken a lot about not really really looking for someone to spend my life with very early on. I think this was probably a part of it. It's crazy to even think about.
Oh,
yeah, because in my mind, if you are just having sex with one person and they're just having sex with you, then you can be totally safe and secure and all of that. So I think that part of me and my logic was maybe I'll just find this one person and then we can just have all the wild sex we want to have in life.
Oh.
So I think that kept me from having a lot of sex when I was younger. So I wasn't as explorative as I am now. But I think that, that was a big, huge part of it. So I didn't really explore. I did have those desires, because where do they go? They don't go anyway. And I definitely had sex, but I was definitely more cautious in my earlier days, if that makes sense.
Yeah. We're going to talk a little bit about who were those early people that helped us get through this period. But when you think about that period when late 80s, but yet you knew porn was still out there. What was keeping that kind of desire? Or did you? Maybe you didn't.
Again, I was a freshman in college. It was right after high school for me.
Yeah.
So the two things, I used to have bathroom sex, because if you had sex in a bathroom, you could only have so much. You couldn't, no one's getting fucked in a bathroom during the 80s when AIDS is rampant. But the hotness of getting caught was kind of there. So I think that was a big part of it for me. But to your point, I still have that mindset.
Yeah.
Even at my age now. And that's what Peter and I are doing. We're 7 years into, we don't need to ever worry because we don't play with other people.
Yeah.
So it's paradise. We don't have to take medication. We don't have to worry about, and for me, and for Peter too, the COVID kind of shifted my head about that again. The backroom stuff. And I know some people get really sick in back rooms. And I just want to be careful. There's a lot of things floating around that aren't HIV.
Monkeypox.
Yeah,
monkeypox.
Remember the whole monkey? That also put the nail in the coffin for me and Peter,
but,
that we were like,
STIs.
okay, we're going to stay where we are. You know what I mean? Monkeypox was scary for us. So it's interesting. It's interesting how it's evolved. And then COVID, we have the experience of AIDS.
Right.
So we kind of went into COVID with experience, right?
With more knowledge and more savvy as far as...
Yeah, something, I just thought of this, something that I found fascinating before my mother passed and when my father, they're in their 80s, my mom passed when she was 82, they would say, you don't understand, Stephen, all of my friends are dying around me because they're in their 80s.
Right.
And that happens to all of us. And I was like, actually, I can really understand because in my 20s, people were dying all around us. And I heard about funerals and you just couldn't, it changed everything. It was a true setback, as I was saying earlier.
Yeah, it's an interesting conundrum too, because I feel like you and I were in that period where we knew what we were sexually and we knew we liked men, but then there was this looming HIV AIDS over us. And I feel like sexuality never stops. It evolves. and history has shown us, it has. People were still going to find ways to get together, have sex, but we found ways. We came into right in that period where we knew what was potentially could be us, and death was like you just mentioned, a potential. Like we might
for me,
not.
I felt like it was a little older than me. Did you?
I definitely did, but
because I wasn't doing San Francisco. I
Yeah.
was doing like the Palladium and dancing with girls and boys and having fun, and we weren't really. I don't know. I wasn't as heavy into being gay then.
Well, by 1990, by
maybe I was a little more
1989,
balanced.
1990, when I was a freshman in college, it was still prevalent and big. And I mean, we can talk about personal stories on the first person you knew who might have been living with HIV, or someone who you lost, or a hookup or partner who taught you something. Mine, I've said it on the show before, was a porn star by the name of Chris Stone back in the day. I've talked about it on the show before, but it's worth mentioning again, over 700 episodes. And what was really cool with him, he was at the Nob Hill Cinema. I went and saw him. I went in my father's truck, my father's Toyota pickup truck that he lent me. And I parked and went to the Nob Hill Cinema, and who was performing was this porn star named Chris Stone. Look him up. Really hot, Costa Rican. And what was really cool about that was after his performance, and I remember sitting in the theater, one of those adult cinemas on Nob Hill, and he was performing and people were jerking off, and some people were so excited because they knew and followed his work. We're so excited to see him jacked off so much. I remember spurts of cum coming next to me because they were so excited to see him. And at the end of it, they said,
It sounds exciting.
I thought he was hot. But at the end of it, they put on the loudspeaker, for those of you that want to meet Chris, he will be in the back room.
Oh, my.
But he was in this cylinder, like plexiglass, where you could meet him, and to touch him, you put your hand through this glove,
Okay.
so that you could touch his genitalia and his body, but through this thing. And I stayed and did that. Well, through the plexiglass, he was telling me, like, Poppy, you're so sexy. And I was like, I am? Oh, okay. And he said, we're not allowed to hook up with any of the clientele here, but meet me in the alleyway. So I took that Toyota pickup truck. I met him when he told me to meet him.
Cool.
And back to who taught you about sex and safer sex at that time. I had never been fucked before, bottomed in my entire life. I picked him up in my Toyota pickup truck when I was told in the alleyway.
Like a good boy.
We went to the Safeway in the Castro Street, and we went to the condom area. We bought condoms. I was like, are we going to buy... I don't know if I could go to buy these condoms with you. And he's like, oh, come on. And we bought the condoms. That's all we bought at the Safeway in Castro. Went back to his hotel back in Nob Hill and proceeded to have sex. He topped me. He was my first, and he taught me you will always use condoms because that was the time.
Oh, that's great.
And lube. And that was my first bottoming experience.
Love
because I think he was a adult performer in that era and wanted to impart to somebody that was new safety. Remember safe sex? Yeah.
Yeah, there was something I thought that was very hot about that. When a hot guy or someone who had swagger knew how to deal with lube and condoms and poppers and those things, it was sexy. It was a time in life. I mean, I would find that sexy now, actually, maybe. I think all that stuff has a relevance in our community because as long as there's people my age, we're thinking about it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
There's no doubt.
Yeah. Do you have a story of somebody?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
I do. So I went to San Francisco State, and that was my freshman year. So that was 1988. And I will never forget
World
this
AIDS
story.
Day.
This is a story about a shift in perception. That's all it is. Are you with me?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to start it this way because sometimes the ending doesn't hit. I think it's going to with this. So there was a required course. First of all, I have a degree in speech and communication with a double major in animal liberation and sexual identity. And part of my sexual identity minor was an emphasis on HIV and what it did to the leather community. But as a school, they had a required course that you had to take, and it was like 4 courses, 4 sessions, and it was in the fucking stadium, 1988. And the professor's name was Ann Olib. I'll never forget this. And she came out and she's like, I have one question. It's all we're going to do this whole class is this one question. I want everyone to stand up, go to the mic if you feel it, and answer this question. Can you get AIDS from a doorknob?
Wow.
And for 45 minutes, people said their piece in those in the microphones.
1988.
Yes. And what's the answer?
I mean, like, of course, no, but I can imagine all of the yeses.
Yeah.
That you heard.
Where I'm.
Do you have the same answer?
Well, I know the answer. No.
What is the answer?
No.
You're both wrong.
What?
So this is a change in perception exercise. It depends on what you do to the doorknob.
Okay. Explain.
Which changed it from a sexually transmitted disease to a virus. If you have a cut on your hand and you're holding a doorknob and someone shoots a load on the doorknob, you could get HIV.
Okay.
I've had 3 people that got HIV through fisting.
Oh, well, yes.
This was to the entire college, straight, gay, man, woman, to understand in 1988.
Yeah.
In 1988, don't put the last 20, 30
Correct.
years on it. It was like COVID.
Yeah.
We were washing our mail.
Right.
Come on. You cannot, you see, it's kind of like washing your mail.
I get it.
And I will say, I still, 2 black parties I went to with a cut on my thumb. And I was like, fuck. I'm not doing anything with my hands
Those
tonight.
are some pretty extreme circumstances. You have to be holding a doorknob while a cut is on your finger and somebody has to ejaculate on
But
your
you
hand.
could get HIV.
But you know what
That was
just saying. It's
Did
wild.
you hear the question?
I
though?
heard the question.
Could you get HIV from
I
that?
get that. And
You
I
know,
understand all of
and-
that. Those are extreme circumstances.
And you know what? Still, as a gay man, to this day, if I cut myself, sometimes if it's in a public place, I feel a little bit of like, I need to like cover
What
this
if?
up immediately.
Yeah.
I feel like people know I'm gay and maybe there's still a little bit of
really?
stigma.
What?
Just no. I mean, I'm immediately like, I hope nobody thinks like.
Still?
I just think it's deeply a little bit embedded.
Ingrained
It's
in you.
it's a
Yeah.
I'm not
layer
judging, I'm
of
just asking.
years and years of that. And I mean, it's a real.
It's been drilled in you.
It's been drilled in
And
us. And I was really, post a high school student when the AIDS epidemic was happening, but I was aware, and I told you that story earlier, that was so prevalent that a fellow gymnast was being demonized for allegedly having HIV. And of course, then we talked later about the diver, the Greg Louganis, and that, remember, the head and the bleeding, and everybody was like freaked out.
Yeah.
Then, of course, Dynasty, if you layer in Dynasty and what was the...
You were saying Dynasty and pointing at me. I don't know what to say.
You didn't watch Dynasty?
Well, the
The
major
gay
actor,
character was named Steve. Is that why you're pointing
yeah,
at
but there
me?
was another actor that was major at the time that ultimately was HIV positive.
I think the
And it was-
Thornbirds also was a huge
Yeah.
one. Remember the Thornbirds and Richard Chamberlain kissing some woman?
Yeah. No, but don't you remember who was
crazy.
that actor that kissed Crystal Carrington? And he was always
Do you want me to
in.
Google it?
Yes, real
Okay.
quick. I love him. He's so handsome. He was in Giant with Elizabeth Taylor. He was so handsome.
It's the gayest movie ever. Giant.
I love Giant, and he was so handsome, but why can't I think of his name?
It's not Richard Chamberlain.
Who is in Giant, and I love him so much. He was with everything with the
Rock Hudson?
Rock Hudson.
Oh.
Rock
yeah,
Hudson.
who
I'm like, why is Rock
had
Hudson coming
HIV in the 80s while he was on
Did
Dynasty.
he have
on
HIV
Dynasty?
or
Yes.
was he just gay?
HIV. Died of
Because-
HIV.
yeah.
It died of AIDS.
I don't know my history with that.
And Crystal Carrington, or Linda Evans, kissed him, and it became a whole thing. It was in
vaguely
and that's when the
remember this.
tabloids were really big, and that was my era. And seeing all of that, Greg Louganis, and my own personal story with the gymnast, all cultivated my feelings of
Yeah.
I'm gay. I'm one of those people. It doesn't matter if you're Rock Hudson, Greg Louganis, any Tom, Dick, or Harry.
They
I
always
could
think that.
potentially die and be one of those people too.
So I can relate to that because when I go get blood drawn and I have that Band-Aid on, I always think about it. And I make sure
Even
that
today?
Even today. So
What do you think about?
I think that maybe some people will think that is something that could be.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
yeah.
I do
I've
too.
had that feeling.
Yeah. So
Not
I do
anymore.
too.
yeah.
I don't
No,
think I
even
have it anymore.
well, there's a little.
I
Are you
wonder,
saying even
maybe.
today there's a little
Yeah,
bit of?
there's still something in the back of my mind.
That's
like,
okay.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. That's
Yeah.
that. There's still a layer of. You can't take all that away. You cannot take
Once
that
it's a part of your
stigma
DNA.
That that this
It
is
doesn't
what we
completely
dealt
wash away.
with.
Well, you know what I'm finding fascinating about this conversation is how much you both care about this. Because I do think for yourself, look at how much thought you just put into everything you just said. Between the Band-Aid and what if I gave someone else something?
Because
Like,
you were
we care.
branded back in the day. You were
Right, but
branded
some people-
as almost like the
Scarlet
Scarlet Letter.
Oh,
It
okay,
is
but
that
what I'm saying is
serious.
Okay, but some people just push that down and don't. They're not in touch with it.
Support for this podcast is brought to you by Walden University. Ever catch yourself thinking, what if I could go after what I actually want and really make a difference? You're not alone, and that's exactly why I want to tell you about Walden University. For over 50 years, Walden has helped working adults like you get the W, with the knowledge and skills to build the future you want and make a difference where it matters most. If you've been waiting for the right moment, this is it. Head to waldenu.edu and take that first step. Walden University. Set a course for change. Certified to operate by Chev.
Hi, friends. We are Dads and Daddies, a podcast about the lives and times of adult gay men in the here and now. I'm Brian Rubin Sowers, a married dad of two.
And I am Judson Morrow, a resident daddy. Join us for frank conversations and personal stories of sex, love, relationships, parenthood, daddyhood, addiction, and so much more.
Find us on Instagram at Dads and Daddies Pod and listen to new episodes every Tuesday on all major platforms.
I think why a lot of the community can be depressed around HIV/AIDS can have a hard time with this because they don't have that empathy or the knowledge of how far they've come in life to realize that all of that is going through your head. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you go get blood drawn. I just think it's beautiful. That's all.
Wow.
It is.
Oh, can I tell you my
Yes,
story about the?
please.
So, of course, I worked in that. When I worked with that group, I met a lot of HIV-positive people, and a lot of them were like community advisors. They were caseworkers and things of that nature. But through that program, I also met this really beautiful guy. He had a perm. His name was Keith. He was blonde, and he was HIV positive, and like I feel like it got me acclimated to being able to date someone that had HIV, and we had like a lovely like romance. We didn't ever have sex, but I think that the reason we didn't was because he had a lot of stigma in his head he was dealing with, and a lot of hang-ups that wouldn't allow him to date me, unfortunately. So all I remember finally,
you were willing to.
yeah, I was willing to date him. I was willing to, be intimate with him. And I think that a lot of his reluctance to date me was because I was negative and he
I
was
remember
positive.
that.
Yeah.
Is that still a thing?
Yeah, I
Does
think
that
it
still
is.
happen?
No, we're going to talk in a minute about where we're at today, but I could piggyback on what you're talking about. And even in the 90s, I remember dating a guy that was HIV positive. And, I didn't give it a second thought. He was this beautiful Italian man. In his early 30s, I was in my mid-20s. and he lived in North Beach, San Francisco.
Oh, wow.
I remember getting up in the morning and he would go get an Italian coffee for me. And he told me, he said, I have the bug, which, and at that time I said, okay, what do we do? And he said, well, as long as you're okay with it, we just have to wear condoms. And he was the top. And I didn't blink an eye then. And I never got it. And he, again, taught me a lot of the ropes of, I'm using air quotes, safer sex. Mm-hmm. I didn't think anything of it. We had a beautiful short-term relationship, but nothing ended badly. I still have really fond memories of him. From a friend of a friend, heard from him. He's still doing amazing. He was an architect, and I think he has a partner, long-term, probably husband. And it was beautiful, actually. And I think about myself, and I was like, wow, I don't think it was like, yep, that's what we're doing. And I don't know what was about him or just why I was that way, but I just thought, no, this is my lifestyle, and I love that.
So beautiful.
Yeah,
That's so lovely.
It was really beautiful.
When I left San Francisco, I met someone who has the best memory ever, and he'll probably listen to this and correct me on all the things that I said wrong, because he's still alive and he's still kicking, and he has a great memory. And we went and saw, I wanted to ask you this earlier, of when was the quilt laid out in Washington prior to when Biden did it, because I believe it was 96, and Mark and I, the person I'm talking about, went and saw that quilt. And he was getting adjusted to his meds and didn't feel well during the quilt situation. And everything about him, I knew I was moving to New York. He was staying in San Francisco. He was the nicest person ever. And we dated for a while. And we kept our sense of humor about it. And we're still in touch today. We went and saw Take Me Out together and saw the guy with the big dick. And it was like, yay, we're together. So it's, it's a good.
Wait, which one?
I love him.
Daniel Sonata?
Yes, all of the above. Peter's like, what?
Both of them?
What?
Which guy with the big dick? That's all I'm concerned
Take
about.
Me Out?
I know, but who was it? Daniel Sunhata, or was it
the guy from Grey's Anatomy?
Jesse Williams.
Love.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Beautiful man.
Yeah. And then lastly, if we could just talk about where we're at today, obviously the onslaught for the last several years of PrEP, things like U equals U, undetectable equals undetectable equals untransmittable, which is a huge thing. People are living long lives with, one pill.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Which is amazing. But then we have to look at things like I just mentioned at the top of the show, huge cuts to funding, to awareness, that if we were to look at those projections at the top of the show that I mentioned, if we don't have access to educating people and people having access to things like Truvada, PrEP, generic versions, whatever you want to call it, we are in danger of going back in time. And when you have, at least here in America, a current administration that doesn't even want to acknowledge, which every administration, including his administration, the first time around that acknowledged it, but he seems to be like really the demon right now, like thinking only for himself. Where are we headed? But do you also think that our community has really, and on this show in particular, we've advocated, you are your own health advocate. When it comes to you, you have to take your own health into your own hands. Lincoln, when I say those words and what I just laid out, what do you say?
Well, it's tough right now. It's no surprise that Trump is not focused on the gay world at all. And it's another setback. It's not as dramatic of a setback.
He's focused on Bubba.
So what?
He's focused on Bubba and sucking that dick. Sorry.
I don't even know what that means, but I'm okay with it.
I'll explain in just a minute.
Okay.
Finish your thought. I'm sorry to interrupt.
That's okay. But it's definitely a setback, but we've come so far and we will continue to move forward. And there's a lot of hope. My big vote for the future is that we don't give up on people who are already HIV positive. So part of the problem with the lack of funding is that all the money, a lot of the money has gone into preventing people from ever getting HIV, because that's the bigger number. And that's where all the money is going to find medication that would never let anyone ever get HIV again. But we can't forget the people who are already positive, like my friend Mark, because the drugs were out. It depends when they started. As I've mentioned on the show before, when HIV/AIDS started, it was tested on a lot of white men.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are still alive, thank God. But that was not an easy time at all for them. And a lot of them died because the drugs were worse than the virus, as with anything.
Yeah.
There was no other way around it. So I hope that when we get our funding back, we remember the people who are still positive so that we can find solutions for them as well. But we've come so far. I was just listening to, I know him, and I can't say his name. Who's the doctor? Demetrius Dukakis?
Just Kakalakis.
Yeah, that's
I'm
it.
so
That's
bad at it.
Got pretty
And-
close. I
yeah,
heard myself in the headset.
Sexy doctor.
I've known him more than once. I kind of like to call him Olympia Dukakis because I think it's funny. But he's a very sweet person, and I'm sure I've never said that to his face. That's not right. Anyway, he was just on PBS NewsHour the Monday before this airs. So people can go back and listen to it of exactly what this means and how far back it takes us. But he wasn't in hair on fire mode, which was nice to see, because especially on PBS NewsHour, it felt like the facts. So if you want to just do a little update on where we are medically right now, check that out online.
Yeah, I mean, facts equal everything, and funding means a lot. And with the threat of the current here in America, they're voting on how we get our insurance. A lot of the ways many of us get our PrEP are through our insurance. And when that's threatened, shout out, though, to Mr.
Thank God for Mr.
And programs like that are giving it out for free and working with the good people to get it to us. But
is Mr. owned by Gilead?
no,
Gilad?
Mr. is
Gilead?
owned by Tristan Shucroft.
Man, we are not doing good with names
Tristan
tonight.
Shucroft. No, I got it
You
right.
got it.
I got it right. And he was on our show
Yes.
in the early days. And he is the CEO of Mr. And he is providing it for free if you do not have insurance.
Yes,
But-
so thank God for Mr. and thank God for Tristan. That was going to be my first point, so thank you for saying that. I also want to say, like you said, we can't really lose hope. Before PrEP and all of that, we knew how to handle this. If anything, the pandemic showed me personally that we as the gay community know how to navigate these spaces a lot better, especially than the straight community. So I have hope and I have faith for us. And also, never mind, I'm not going to say. Well, you know what? Living in New York.
Whenever you say that, you have to say it.
I feel like living in New York, I feel like a lot of and we'll see if this is actually going to happen. I feel like a lot of things are going to not affect us as much as it's going to affect the other, like, more rural areas. So my heart goes out to them.
Thank you. Yeah.
And I really hope that we survive. Not survive. I hope we can thrive in this oncoming time, because I think that we as a community and as a society have the potential to do that.
Yeah, I think we've all said the things that we are so resilient as a community, and we will find a way.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I am worried about us, and we will. This is a show where we talk about our health and our wellness on this kind of stuff, and we have shown that we will evolve despite a current administration. But that's our job on this show, to keep talking about these things and sharing our stories. And
There was a story at Steve and Diego's wedding that I wanted to pull them aside with this person and tell them, because this person was going to add to the story. So, Larry, when you listen to this, I hope you can add to the story. You brought up a back in San Francisco. How did you know him again? Remind me.
Met him in 1989 really quickly. I was a gymnast on a high gymnastic team. He worked for Macy's. They were doing Macy's Back to School fashion show. They hired our gymnastic team to be the entertainment for the touring. I love that.
That's so
touring
awesome.
Macy's Back to School fashion. And that's how I got to learn about Larry. And we, to this day, from 1989, we're on 35 years of friendship. and I just love him dearly.
So I arrive at Stephen Diego's wedding with Peter, and we had a great time. And when we arrived, we walked up to this person, and I said, "Hi, I'm Stephen Lincoln. This is my fiance, Peter." And he said, "Hi, I'm Larry Hashberger." And I said, "Oh, do you live here?" And he said, "No, I live in San Francisco." It's funny. I used to live in San Francisco. He's like, "Oh, really?" And I said, "Yeah, I went to college there, and I lived on Grandview Avenue." And he went, "I live on Grandview Avenue. Have I told you this yet?" "No, I haven't told you this yet."
You have, but I want to hear it again.
Okay,
Yes.
so I lived on Grandview Avenue, and he said, "I live on Grandview Avenue." And I said, "Oh, that's the weirdest thing. I lived back in the day when in 88, 89, when the earthquake happened." And he's like, "Oh, really?" And I said, "Yeah, and you know the funniest thing? The day of the earthquake, I got home and there was nobody there and all the electricity was out. And I walked outside and there was this guy who lived across the street and we started talking. And I think he worked for like Macy's and did something for Passport."
Yes.
What?
And he's like, "That was me." And I said, "What?" And he said, "Yeah, that was me. I remember." And he's like, "But he didn't really remember me." But he's like, "I'm that guy who works at Macy's. I'm the head of Passport and blah, blah, blah." At your wedding, mind blown. And then when I said to him, I worked at Benetton, he went, "Oh my God, I remember you talking to me on the street about Benetton."
Wow.
So I've known him as long as you've known him. But would never have he's now in my phone. I need to text him. We have to please send him
here
this
this
story.
week.
No.
And
Can we please get together?
Yes.
Because we need to continue this story.
Yes.
Because at that, Peter's jaw was like,
So
"What
wild.
is happening? I don't understand." And it was such another love letter, same as the owner of Vakaya at your wedding.
Yes.
It was who I got to
Hey,
tell
Patrick.
my Vakaya.
Shout out to Patrick.
Hey,
Yay.
Patrick.
I got to tell him my
Patrick.
Vakaya story, and it was just a beautiful wedding. And we haven't really all been together, I think, since the wedding. So
We have.
here's my little intake on the wedding experience of a day of such beautiful love. So thank you for including me and Peter. And I'm so happy I'm back in touch with Larry. Twilight
That's
Zone.
wild.
Weird.
Amazing. And yes, my heart is touched, and he's one of just my all-time favorite people. That was my mentor.
Yeah.
In those early years.
And he has been in every story I tell about living in San Francisco.
Hey, it's Stevie V. Quick pause. If you're craving deeper connections, more confidence, and better dates, my brand new app, Connect and Confidence, is finally here. Inside, you'll get daily mini coaching, mindset shifts, dating tools, conversation starters, confidence boosters, weekly reflection prompts, everything you need to show up as the real, grounded, magnetic you. Whether you're looking for love, something casual, or just better connection with yourself, this app meets you where you are. Download Connect and Confidence now and start creating the relationships you actually want. Go to studio.com/SteveV/connect. That's studio.com/SteveV/connect. Love getting into hot topics with you, and let's keep it quick. And recently, QueerTube was asking the question about threesomes. Threesomes aren't always twice the fun, as these gays can attest. I'll read you a few, we'll discuss, and you tell me what you think of what makes a threesome work. Okay. Recently, the best encounters someone wrote are with couples because they already have a chemistry between themselves and you get all the attention, one person wrote. The best sex I ever had was a threesome in a Brazilian muscle bear couple. When I got DP'd and treated like an absolute slut in bed and like a good boy after, as one of them cooked for us while the other mixed drinks. Then we watched a film, and I spent the night spooning and cuddling with them. Oh, that sounds like delicious. Many others shared disappointing situations when they said things like, this was a couple who lived like 500 meters away, who I visited quite a few times. I was there to please one person, it seemed. Many rules, none of my needs were heard. Always the same procedure, like I had to do the thing his partner wouldn't or couldn't do. Oh, Lord. And then somebody else wrote, I'm not a fan of threesomes. I had two, and while they were fun, it never felt fun. Had one with two exes. We had all dated each other at some point, and it made me realize I had more of a connection with my second ex over the first.
What?
But the first had more of a connection
very
with
confused.
me. It just goes on and on. I have had a threesome with Diego a couple of times, but some better than others. And when we do it, we have to really connect and be in the moment with it. We have a neighbor in this building that has helped us put like our agent almost, and it's been fun. Yeah, I love it. And I will say, when it works, it works. And we've walked away. I'm looking at you, Diego. Haven't we had a couple that have been like, wow, that was actually a fun... Yeah, he's nodding over there. Others, nope.
0 out of 10. Wouldn't do it again.
Nope. As Diego said, nope. What is your experience, and how do you weigh in? Lincoln.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Here we are. So Peter and I do not have threesomes, and we've been monogamous for a while. However, I find that because we just don't go there, we have a lot of threesomes with friends. Like like Cody, you've come over and had Chinese food, and we all connected and chat.
Does
and
that
we're
count?
not having
I love
sex.
that for us.
For me, mentally, we're not having sex. So
Yeah, but
what else is on the table?
it
And for a
counts
lot of
as
people, it
Chinese
never
food.
lasts. Right? Yay!
I love Chinese food.
And I think I forced you to watch the Meek or something. I think I did. I think
And I
that's
loved
true.
it, darling.
However, I love back in the day a good threesome, but my absolute favorite was I met, and I think I still follow them somewhere. I don't know. I met a couple at the Eagle. This is threesomes, right? Okay, 3. A couple at the Eagle, and we went back to my apartment, and they double penetrated me in my bed.
It's like all coming back to. It's like a Celine Dion song.
I
It was
have
like all coming back to
never-
you
Why
now.
does she always have to
I
come
had
back?
never before.
There were
and I
nights
had
when the wind was
never
so cold.
After, and it just, but it was also that they weren't overly tall.
Okay.
There was something about their size.
Did they need to be?
Yeah, there was just something about it that some people are not an easy bottom, and some people are also 6'2" and not in the
It's all
mental
about
state or the physical.
lowering and
I have to say though, their heights
Were
and the
perfect.
lengths of their things, everything worked out.
You
I'm
can
sorry,
say- you
that
can
is
say
choreography. I dare you to dispute that that's choreography. Like there's a lot of moving parts in that stuff, and for me, that's not my forte. So that's my threesome highlight of my life.
that's a really good one. Shout out to
Yeah.
choreography. I love his music.
It is choreography.
Come on, Paula Abdul.
I love choreo.
Because if certain things aren't long enough, you
usually
need to move a certain
Yeah.
way, or if they're too short, it's a lot of angles. It's choreography.
It is.
Yeah. Okay. So
Cockography.
Ooh,
Is that better?
Is that a thing? I love it. Let's make it a
But
thing.
we should make it like 2 double
Cockography.
cockography.
So I've had plenty of threesomes. I've never had one. Why are you laughing, bitch?
Okay, maybe now you're
Reacting
bland.
to a statement.
No, bitch, you're still Blanche, okay? I've never had one. Oh, I get the Blanche shot glass now? Thank you, darling. So I've had plenty of threesomes. I've never had one with my partner, but I love being the special guest in a relationship because you just get all the attention. It makes you feel so wanted and desired. I have had some where I have been not unwelcome, but one partner wants me there more than the other partner, and it definitely shows in their demeanor.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
in those instances, I just come and go. I drop my load in the bottom and then just hit it before the top can get too jealous. But one in particular, this couple, they both were so welcoming and warm, and both of their holes felt amazing. And I would just I should call them because it was
Hurry.
a fantastic time. Because like you said, when the chemistry is right, the chemistry is right. And it was
Yeah.
just right in this time. So that's when I would say a recommendation for anybody that's looking to have a threesome. When you get there, you feel out the vibes. And if it's not right, then just get out of there as quickly as possible.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's really good
That's
advice.
good.
Thank you, darling.
Yeah, really good advice. Oh my God, I could do this all night long, but we have to wrap it up. We have to get on with our week, and you can always follow my co-host. You can follow Lincoln at his Protein Bakery, at Protein Bakery, and you got some deals going on over there, correct?
I do. Yay, small business.
Follow him at his personal account at Mad Lincoln. Follow Cody at Blue Sky at Mr. Maurice. Follow me on the gram. I am _ Steve V. And we are live Wednesday night for Tags Live. So excited. Go to the website to get the live link. It's Tags Live, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Pacific Time. And in the meantime, continue having hot
gay sex. And love yourself.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.
Hi, friends. We are Dads and Daddies, a podcast about the lives and times of adult gay men in the here and now. I'm Brian Ruben Sowers, a married dad of 2.
And I am Judson Morrow, a resident daddy. Join us for frank conversations and personal stories of sex, love, relationships, parenthood, daddyhood, addiction, and so much more.
Find us on Instagram at Dads and Daddies Pod and listen to new episodes every Tuesday on all major platforms.